guys, it's Katie and welcome back to my channel. I have a really special video today that I'm actually really excited about because I have finally decided to make my own book tag, and this one was kind of a difficult decision for me on whether or not to go ahead with this because I had this idea pop into my head to do a book tag centered around phobias. So of course my very first thought of doing a book tag about phobias is, what if someone actually has a phobia of one of these? They're not going to want to do the tag because, they might be afraid of, the prompts that I have. But then I just decided to go ahead and do it anyway, and then if people are interested in it, they can go ahead and participate in this. So I will leave all of the prompts down below in the description so that everything's written out there. But there are 14 of them. And because there are 14, I'm just going to get right into it. So the first phobia is Aerophobia, and that is the fear of flying. So for that, I wanted a book that has flying animals or people. So for that, I decided to go with Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. They don't actually fly in this, but I feel like making yourself fly through the air using metals to push you is pretty freaking interesting and badass. So that is what I decided to go with for my prompt for this. Then we have Arachnophobia, which is the fear of spiders. And this is a book that uses spiders as portents of evil. So something that uses spiders to show that there's evil coming, or that the spiders themselves are evil. So the first one that I thought of for this is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, which, as you probably know by now, the spiders run away from the basilisk, so they are saying that there's something evil in the castle, and that would be the basilisk. The next one is Bromidrophobia, and that is the fear of body smells. And I want to do something a little bit funnier for this one. So this is a book that's set in or inspired by the medieval time period. So as you can imagine, in the medieval time period, they did not take baths very often, so as you can imagine, there was probably a lot of body odor. So for this, I decided to go with King of Ashes by Raymond E. Feist, mainly because I'm reading this book right now, and it is kind of set in like a medieval-esque time period. There's kings and sword fights and, everything like that, so this is so far really great. I'm only about 40 pages in right now, and I'm loving it so far. Next, we have Bibliophobia, which is a fear of books. And, of course, if you have a fear of books, you're probably not watching this channel. But for this, I decided to go with a book that focuses on books, reading, or libraries, or something of that sort. So, of course, the very first one that I thought of is The Invisible Library by Genevieve Cogman. And basically, this is about a girl who works for this library and goes to steal a book, and, all of these events happen, and someone beats her to this book, and I haven't actually read this one yet, so I'm not sure how good it is, but I've heard great things, so I decided to go with this one, and it even has library in the title. Then the next one is Belonephobia, which is the fear of sharp objects, and of course I am probably pronouncing some of these phobias incorrectly, so sorry, and if you know how to pronounce them, you can leave them down in the description. But for this, I decided to go with a book that features assassins or warriors. Get it? They use sharp objects, knives, swords, things like that. So I decided to go with Red Sister by Mark Lawrence. And this is about a girl who goes to this convent of nuns who are basically trained to be killers. And if that doesn't sound interesting, then I don't know what does. Then we have Gerontophobia, which is the fear of the elderly. So this is a book with amazing older characters. And this would not be my channel if I did not talk up this book, and that would be Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. This follows a group of men who were mercenaries in their prime, and now, of course, they're much older, and they decide to go on one more hurrah to go and save one of the members' daughters. And, they're badass, and they're older, and this is just a great, funny fantasy. Next, we have Gelotophobia, I'm not sure the pronunciation on this one. But that is fear of being laughed at, and I decided for a book that has humor in it. So I just recently read The Palace Job by Patrick Weeks because it was a funny fantasy recommendation, and I'm always looking for funny fantasy recommendations. And this one was very funny, it was very witty. It wasn't as funny for me as like Kings of the Wild was, because that is also very funny. But this one was still funny and had some elements to it and just some one-liners that were funny. Next is Gynophobia, which is a fear of women, and this is for a badass female character. And I want to give a major shout out to my girl Selena Sardothian from Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, because I love her, I want to be her. This is my favorite of Sarah J. Maas's series, so versus A Court of Thorns and Roses. I do like the relationships in that one a little bit better, but this series I read first, so this will always have a special place in my heart. Next we have Thalassophobia, which is the fear of the sea, and this is a book that is set on or near the ocean. So I decided to go with Half a King by Joe Abercrombie because this is set on an inner sea called the Shattered Sea, and for much of this book so far that I've read, our main character Yarvi is a slave on a pirate trading ship. They're not necessarily considered pirates technically, but yeah, so they are traveling. He's doing rowing on the ship and, being a slave, and it is set on the ocean. Next we have Necrophobia, which is fear of the dead, and this one is a book about or featuring zombies or vampires. So I honestly don't have a lot of zombie or vampire books, but I did pick up a few months ago Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead because I've never read this series, and I know when I was in middle school, high school, this was a really big series. So of course it is now many years past when this was very popular, but I decided that I wanted to pick this up and see what it's like. Then we have Nomophobia, which is fear of being out of mobile contact, which I feel like in this day and age is really prevalent. Most people, if they don't have their cell phones on them, they freak out. I know that I myself sometimes do that. I freak out a little bit if I can't find my phone. But this is a book featuring the loss of technology. So the first one that came to my mind is Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel, because this is kind of like the aftermath of the apocalypse, and it shows flashes of beforehand when the world basically started to end and how it all happened and how technology was lost and everything like that. Alright, we're getting down to the last few here. So the next one is Bibliophobia, which is the fear of snakes. And for this I've decided to go with a book that has a serpent on the front or features a serpent in it. For this I went with Isle of Blood and Stone by Makia Lucier. I'm sorry, I'm probably not pronouncing your name correctly. But as you can tell, this has a sea serpent on the front, and there are sea serpents in it as well. So this was one of my recent reads, and I loved this book. It was very fantasy, mystery, and it was really, really good. Then the next one is Technophobia, which is the fear of technology, and I decided to go with a book that is set in the future or that has technological advances. So this is another book that I've read recently and loved, and that is Scythe by Neil Shusterman. And I feel like most people by now know what this is about, but basically this is a society that is in the future from our own, where they have gotten rid of death, disease, famine, war, everything that plagues our society today. So this is a perfect society, which that is a huge technological advancement. And finally, the last one is Zoophobia, which is a fear of animals. And for this, it is a book that centers around animals or shapeshifters. So I decided to go with Tiger's Curse by Colleen Hawke, as this features shape-shifting tigers, which is awesome, and there are also Indian princes, so that is also awesome. Okay, so that is it for this tag. I really hope you guys enjoy, and I hope you try out my tag, whether you do a video, a blog post, or Instagram or anything like that. I would love to see all of your attempts at this book tag, so try to tag me in them and I'll check them out as I can. And I will leave all of my social media links down below if you want to come and be my friend on any other platform. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!